time for 28mm World War II action. Will you recreate history or reshape it your way? On the Bolt Action Hub at beastsofwar.com. Anime cyberpunk style meets skirmish combat in Infinity. Experience 8 high-tech factions and fight to control the human sphere at the Infinity Hub on beastsofwar.com.
So, hi guys, welcome to What's in the Box. We are back for a look at the Glacier King.
Now this is something we have looked at before during the Weekender.
It is, but it's a big, beautiful kit. We figured, you know what, it's worth having its own standalone unboxing to actually show you guys the parts and how the thing looks once it's built.
Yeah.
John, what do you know about Trollbloods?
I know that they're large and trollish.
That was coming. I had to have.
Am I a Hordes expert yet? No? Sorry.
No. The Trollbloods are essentially the crazy Scotsmen of the Iron Kingdom's universe.
Okay, so...
They run around in the forest in kilts and like a good punch-up.
Right, okay.
And lots of beer.
But he doesn't have a kilt.
No.
Could they not find a kilt mighty enough for the Glacier King?
Well, here, pass it here. I'll quickly throw the box under close camera so that people can see him. So, as you can see, yes, there is no kilt. He does have a rather nice loincloth.
Okay.
And icy spikes everywhere!
Yeah, there is a heck of a lot of ice and all sorts of weird things going on there.
That's going to be fun to paint.
Is it?
Well, you know what's going to happen.
I may be finding out eventually.
But the whole point is, the Glacier King is another one of the Trollblood Ancients, right? So you had the Mountain King, who were chained up beneath the earth because the hunger was too great. Because Trollbloods, as we all know, love to eat. Okay. This guy, in fact, has snacking as one of his rules, which means whenever he kills a living enemy model, he's not just going squish, he's going, ooh, tasty snack.
All right, okay.
And eats people.
Right.
But if I quickly show you his cards under close camera, he has a really nice stat line. So speed 5, strength 15, mat 5, rat 5, defense 9, which is absolute garbage, but armor 19.
Right.
He's also got immunity to cold, and he causes terror. He has the Wind Thrower as his ranged weapon, which is a couple of nice special rules, and 2 big frosty fists, which are also quite nice with their special rules. Now, this guy's 18 points. He's cheaper than the Mountain King.
Now, why would that be? Any ideas?
It's most likely just because of synergies and stuff. He's possibly not quite so powerful, or people, they really want to see these on the table.
Maybe he doesn't have as many synergies with other Trollblood units.
Quite possibly.
So he's a bit cheaper because he's not quite as flexible?
Maybe. But he is quite nice. Now, the Wind Thrower does cold damage, and it's a power 14. Nothing to turn your nose up at.
Yeah.
However, where he really starts to shine is his special abilities. So he's got Frozen Ground for his Animus. When an enemy model without immunity to cold ends its activation within 3 of this model, the enemy is knocked down. Frozen Ground lasts for 1 round. So as soon as something gets knocked down in Hordes or War Machine, defense is cut in half.
Right.
So they're really starting to hurt from it. He also has snacking, as I mentioned. He also has Snowfall, which is a very, very nice rule. So while within 3 inches of this model, friendly models gain concealment. Friendly models with Prowl gain stealth.
Right.
Now, stealth is that if you're outside of a certain distance of that miniature, you can't see it at all. You can't shoot at it. You have to close in and go for the melee attack. The Wind Thrower has Thunderbolt, which means whenever it hits, it's knocking stuff back on a D3. On a critical hit, the model's also knocked down. The big Frosty Fists have Freeze. Enemy model hit with this becomes stationary for a round.
Right.
Now, there's a couple more special rules for the actual Gargantuans. Now, they have power attacks, and there's one here that jumps out at me, which is the Slam Power Attack Revised.
Okay.
So there's a revision on this rule, which means any smaller base model hit by this guy gets pushed back an additional 2 inches. So his normal Power Strike, which would knock them back D6, is now D6 plus 2, which is quite nice. He's also got the Sweep Attack, which means he's basically running his arm across the arc of fire for it and just smacking everything with his base strength.
Right.
So if you're surrounded by a bunch of stuff, nasty little speed bump unit, you can start to just sort of clear your way out.
Yeah.
So we've seen the stat cards, I've talked a little bit about the rules, maybe winded on a little bit. Let's get to the components because they're ridiculously huge. So we'll start with this, which is his main body. And the details are really, really nice on this. You've got that old, tough, leathery skin, all the veininess, and the bits of snow poking out all around the place. and some of the first of those ice spikes.
Yeah.
We then have the main part of his, what would you call this? Crest?
That's the back, I guess. I guess you could call it a crest, right?
Which is going to slot in here, which, as you can see, instantly just makes him
It makes him like
ridiculous, twice as tall.
Yeah, like
Down
3
near
inches
twice
taller.
as tall.
Yep.
If you pass me some of the other components there, John. I'll just put
Okay,
this to one
so
side.
arms.
Okay, so we're moving to smaller components. Now, I say smaller. This is still twice the size for one arm of a regular mini. There's at least twice the resin of a regular mini there. Again, lots of nice detail, the nice veins, all that leathery skin. Big vents on this, I would say. You're going to have to work at these to get them off.
Yeah, definitely.
So, well, again, I really like the detail on this. So, more components, please, Mr. Lyons.
Right.
Give me his face.
Face. One face.
Look at that face.
It's a very, very angry face. And
It's a very angry
again,
face.
the detail is absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, he's actually missing his front teeth, which are these. So if I pop these on, hopefully I've got it the right way up. Yes, I do. You instantly see the face suddenly has a lot more depth to it with that on it.
Yeah, the character really sort of comes out in it as well once you've applied all that.
Anyone painting this, I would obviously say leave this off first, so that you can actually get in and around the actual mouth detail.
Yeah.
Next up.
Next up, let's try some hands. Oh.
Big, big hands.
They are very gnarly looking as
They're
well.
very gnarly, right down to the fact that the nails on the fingers are chipped and broken and worn to hell.
Yep.
Again, you have some vents on this that you're going to have to work off, and an extra finger to go on each hand.
Which are, I will pass them over to
pass them
you,
over,
are cast
yes.
in metal.
Yeah, so this is a hybrid kit, so you will have to break out
You have
maybe
to
a
break out
bit
your
of a
super
file
glue.
to actually just give these a better contact point, I would say.
Potentially even a little bit of sandpaper would
Because
scar
even
those
these
a bit
are,
better.
the two fingers are still quite hefty.
Yeah.
Next up, give me the loincloth.
We'll do the loincloth then, yeah.
Okay, so he has killed many bears to make this lovely loincloth.
Yep.
Some really nice fur detail on this. It's something I've lamented recently is that some of the fur detail you see on minis is not as good as it used to be. However, this is really, really nicely done. And again, it's going to be interesting to see how this is painted. Is it going to be polar bears, or has he been killing them on the way down from the glaciers?
Yeah, well, yeah. it's all in the eye of the beholder, I guess. I would probably paint them not as polar bears because I would like more contrast in with the model. So probably like black bears or brown bears or something, like a bit more standard sort
Do a
of.
panda.
No. The idea of not painting white on the fur is to add more contrast to the model, and the first thing you suggest is paint it with a bear that is half and half black and white.
It could be interesting and funny.
Have the feet.
All right, so we've got the feet as well. These are quite stumpy, but most of the leg is already on the miniature.
Yep.
Again, really gnarly whenever you get down close to it. And, yeah, well, what can I say? It's a foot.
It's a foot. It has detail. It's a foot.
And it hopefully doesn't have athlete's foot.
Oh, terrible. Now, these, I'm not sure where
these go on to the shoulders.
Oh,
So these are those extra icy protrusions from the shoulders. Which, again, it's going to be interesting to see how a lot of people paint up the ice detail. We then have more little bits of ice spikes. And if we just get the rest of the little mini metal bits in, because
the rest of the metal
quite
bits,
a few of them.
The rest of the metal bits all seem to go on the loincloth.
Yeah, so it's all tribal detailing, fetishes and stuff.
Yeah.
You know, which are all very, very nice. So overall, you do get, if I pull it all in,
A lot of
a
model.
mountain of stuff to work with.
And a base.
So, of course, a base.
And a really big base.
A base.
Really, really big
Yes,
base.
we know you like the base after the outtakes.
Yes.
Right, guys, we're going to move on here. We'll get this built. We will see you in part 2.
From Viking halls to the cities of the future, terrain buffs will love our foreground hub. Watch gaming tables of all genres come to life at beastsofwar.com. Venture into the dangerous dungeons of myth as a mighty hero and stand against the darkness. Visit the Myth Hub on beastsofwar.com and begin your story.
Okay, and we're back, and wow.
It's big, isn't it?
It's huge.
Yep.
How long did this take you to put together?
About 40 minutes.
Okay.
Roughly about 40 minutes. That is excluding 2 hours of prep.
Okay.
Shaving the parts down and
Well,
dry
big
fitting.
minis, big amounts of work to do always.
Yeah,
I mean,
definitely.
there were tons of gates on this to actually get all the detail into it.
Yeah, that's the other thing, especially with a resin metal hybrid model. You do need to go a little bit longer on your preparation for it.
But it does pay off.
Yes, I mean, you have a rather large model. Sure, resin models have their issues. All resin models have their issues with either parts that don't quite fit right or the occasional gap that's here or there. But
again, it's tender loving care. The more you put into it, the more you'll get out of it.
yeah, the thing is, and a point I want to put across as well, is that when you're working with the resin model, like the first resin models I ever bought, they always said, don't attempt this if you're really young or inexperienced. These are experienced modelers' materials that you're working with here.
Yeah.
You need a fair amount of experience to actually do it. So it seems odd for me to have such good production models and stuff done out of resin. But are you done twirling?
Well, I'm just wanting everyone to see some of the details on them because there are an absolute ton of them. Like hang on, look at this face.
Look at the face.
That is really cool detail.
The face is mad, isn't it?
Yeah, with that big frosty gob on him.
Yeah, but it's a very nice model. It's very imposing.
Yes, it's a nice centerpiece.
It is. Yes.
If you want something big and impressive, and you want to have a Trollblood force that's a bit of theme on it, you'll stick him down, nice and frosty. You've got some smaller ice elemental trolls, I believe, and you can actually build a force around him, which might be nice.
But I will throw the caveat back out there and say that do take your time with this, because you will have gaps to fill. There will be imperfections you'll have to work on. That is how resin works.
Yeah. Well, it's also because it's an organic miniature, I've found, because I've built the Colossals from Privateer, 2 of them. I built the Signar one and the Kador one. And because it's big, square, blocky edges and stuff, everything's going onto a flat joint. Whereas this, you're trying to slot in an organic joint. Yeah, so it sometimes doesn't work quite so well.
It's quite a complex part to be made out of resin in the first place, and then the nature of resin molding makes that process a little more difficult to get parts to fit.
Exactly.
So, but you will have to spend a bit of time with a resin model, regardless.
Yeah. So, but I think he looks fantastic when he's done. I love the character that he has.
Definitely.
Seeing this stomping across the battlefield to pick up and munch your infantry, it's really going to be a big fire draw on the tabletop.
Definitely.
Because that's what I've always noticed. Colossals are gargantuan. As soon as it hits the tabletop, people are
everything's shooting at it.
It's that whole shiny syndrome we used to talk about. You take one crappy unit and paint it incredibly well, and because it's bright and shiny and beautiful and your opponent sees that you've put a lot of time into it, he'll focus on it without realizing it. These things have the same sort of thing where it's that, oh my god, it's the big scary monster. You kind of have to go for it. Yeah, I've found a couple of times playing games where mine was just completely ignored. And do you want to know what? I lost. These are not game-breaking minis.
No.
They are big, cool minis, and if you know how to work your synergies and stuff, they work really well in your force. But this is not just, I've bought a big mini, chomp it down on the table, I now have the nuclear power of the tabletop game. So guys, drop us a comment below. How do you use these particular miniatures? How would you use the Glacier King? And have you used the Mountain King? Because these are sort of cousins in the world. So guys, we'll move on here. Hopefully you enjoyed that quick look at the Glacier King. We will see you in the next video.
In a world controlled by massive corporations, a steady aim and split-second decisions are needed for your Megacon to complete its goals. Begin your missions at the Mercs Hub on beastsofwar.com. Become a general of mighty armies at the Kings of War Hub. Take command of elves, dwarves and orcs in this game of massed fantasy combat on beastsofwar.com.